Do you find that all this talk about the conscious and the unconscious to be a bit confusing? Stay tuned. This is Damon Cart from NLP Gym. What is the conscious and the unconscious? If you haven't already, please click subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get these videos on a regular basis. Conscious, consciousness, conscience, the unconscious, the subconscious. What does all this mean? We hear and say these words so much that we often forget what they actually mean, and we start to think of them as things, like real tangible things, like the camera I'm speaking to, or the lights that are around me, or the floor. When in actuality, these are really just categories, and there's no such thing really as a category. There's no such thing as, to be more specific, because a thing is something tangible, something we can grab, something we can pick up, something we can see. And categories are really just concepts. So if we overuse them or underuse them, we can sort of overdefine them or underdefine them. Here's some quick and dirty definitions on all of these words. Conscious is just being aware, whatever I'm aware of right now, or whatever you're aware of right now. Consciousness is the fact of that awareness. The conscience is that sort of internal compass that lets us know when something's right and something's wrong, like morally right or wrong. The unconscious is all the stuff that is going on in your mind that we're not so conscious of. And in other words, like the involuntary processes that are going on in my body, like my heart beating, like breathing, things that I don't really have to think about, but they do take mental processes to make happen. Also, the unconscious is taking in information from the five senses and processing that information and running it through programs that you've created that maybe were conscious at one time but are no longer, but they continue to work, they continue to go ahead, and these processes just continue without your conscious awareness of it. You don't need your conscious awareness of it anymore. A good example of that is like riding a bike or driving a car. You're not so overly conscious of everything that you're doing. That has slipped into the unconscious, but you can still do it, and it still takes your mind to do that. The subconscious is really just the unconscious. It's just a derogatory word to use for your unconscious. Actually, not really, though some people think of it that way. They don't like to use the word subconscious in referring to the unconscious, because sub means below or under or less than. And the truth is that your unconscious is a part of your mind, just like any other part of your mind. And it's not lower, sub, or less than any other part. It's just as relevant. NLP really works with conscious and unconscious processes. Conscience is not really something we deal with in NLP, except in terms of ecology. We refer to the right and the wrong more in terms of the entire system, what's better or worse for the system, not necessarily the whole right and wrong moral argument. Freudian psychology is more or less a process of discussing a problem and bringing into awareness the unconscious programs and processes that hold that problem in place. So you will talk a lot about what's going on with you, and the Freudian psychoanalysis therapist will ask you questions to help draw this information out. And the idea behind it is that when you draw out and make unconscious programs and processes conscious, that the problem then goes away. For certain people, for certain problems, this actually works quite well, but they don't always work. In fact, Milton Erickson, the father of modern hypnosis, actually worked in exactly the opposite way most of the time. He spoke directly to the unconscious in a person, and very little of the programs and processes that were creating the problem were ever brought into consciousness. He had this presupposition and assumption about the unconscious that it had all the resources necessary to heal itself. Sometimes it just needed some extra guidance and direction. And it's kind of what our conscious mind does. Our conscious mind is on the forefront and is guiding and trying to consciously focus on a direction. And the unconscious is more or less more open to that direction. I mean, it does have some of a direction on its own. It will sort of put things into your conscious in sort of a way of guidance. However, a lot of times it often needs the guidance of something, a conscious mind. And a metaphor is used, so like a horse. A horse has a rider, but who's really in control there. And the conscious mind is kind of like the rider who's steering the horse where to go. And the horse is the unconscious that is following that direction. But sometimes the horse wants to go where it wants to go. And the horse could probably find its way home if it needed to without its rider on there. So it's a good metaphor to use because the unconscious does have its own sort of direction and desire and want. When NLP is used for your conscious mind, it's more so to focus your mind on achieving certain outcomes. There are certain ways that you can focus, there are certain ways that you can think about things that will help you get there. We also work with the unconscious because sometimes we want to bypass the conscious mind and go directly to the unconscious. And the reason for that is when the conscious mind gets involved, it can resist. It's the conscious mind's job to filter and reject information that is not true or that can be harmful to you or that could create a problem, basically. Therefore, this part of us serves us quite well, but it could also limit us in the way of creating resistance to positive change. When it comes to terminology that describes the different parts of the mind, be careful that you're not overcomplicating it. The mind is complex enough without adding complicated terminology to it. Also remember that the mind is one thing. It is not different parts all working in different ways, or you don't have different minds all working in different ways. It's all one mind working together, and that's all the conscious and unconscious is, just two categories of one mind. And if it is complicating things for you, then just let it go. Check out my website, nlp-gym.com. Follow me on Facebook for real-time updates on upcoming workshops and free practice sessions that I hold right here in Santa Cruz, California. If you like this video, please click like right down here and leave me a comment or a question. I will get back to you. Stay tuned to the end of this video so you can see how you get your hands on a free NLP online training. Take care.